with the hello, everyone and no one, and welcome to another Talking Into the Void. James will not be with us tonight. He has some things he has to take care of or something or other. But with me, as always, is Tier Alexander. Tier, how you doing?
I'm great, my friend. How are you?
Oh, not so bad. We have with us as well as Angela. Angela, how you doing today?
My allergies are trying to kill me, but other than that, I'm great.
And joining us today as well is Mitch the Ripper. Mitch, how are you doing today?
I'm feeling spicy.
Okay, well, I was going to bring up the whole thing for Twitch of, the chick that was basically naked, but you could only see her from, just above nipple up that everyone's been bitching about. Or I shouldn't say bitch about, but, talking about. I say we talk about something that's even more needs to be talked about, and that's this. Okay, I'm not the biggest Doctor Who fan. I barely am.
God.
But this bio regeneration thing
It's a heresy.
The bioregeneration?
Bioregeneration, and it's the whole thing of so the Doctor's asexual now?
All right, so all right. Let me give a rudimentary understanding of how traditional time was.
I should say this. I'm sorry. The Doctor's not just necessarily asexual. The Doctor can reproduce asexually.
No, so all right.
It's supposed to be some bullshit of supposedly, when the Doctor supposedly dies, the timeline skews, and either a timeline has it to where a new Doctor takes over, and then there's a split timeline to where that Doctor doesn't actually die. Is the supposed thing they were talking about?
Nope, that's not even the thing. All right, so Time Lords are loomed. It's been established in canon that they don't do sexual reproduction anymore because they just don't. So they take the DNA from the prospective mother and the DNA from the prospective father, and they kind of weave it together to weed out all the imperfections. Thus, Time Lords are loomed. Yeah, and by that being said, him doing that, him having a split regeneration makes no fucking sense because again, that's not how they're made. And granted, there are Time Lords who say, "Oh yeah, we do sexual reproduction," but most Time Lords don't do that. Most of us are loomed.
Oof.
To quote what's her name, I want to say from the second Tremors movie, it's takes all the fun out of that.
Yeah,
it really does, because look, a lot of our notions of romance and falling in love and all that shit, that is tied to our reproductive process biologically.
But you have to.
Well, I'm just saying that to imagine a species that doesn't have that kind of a biological reproductive process that humans do, that inspires all the notions of romance, true love, blah, 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 fucking Hallmark cards.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of, then why does the Doctor occasionally fall in love with a companion if there's no biological reason for there to be a romantic interest?
Yeah.
Well, traditionally, the only time the Doctor has fallen in love traditionally has been the shit with Rose. And that's what Russell T Davies said. He brought that shit around.
Right.
Or was it Moffat? I believe one of them, and that's the only time he's actually been in love. Most of his companions have, I'm the older gentleman that
yeah, usually the Doctor is more of either a father figure or the crazy uncle figure.
Yeah.
Or simply a mentor.
Yes.
Or even just a tour guide.
Yes. Or a co-worker in the case of Romana.
Right.
They were just co-workers, essentially. We have this mission that we need to complete, and that's it. And I'm not saying that the Doctor because he has a granddaughter, or canonically has a granddaughter. So he had to have some sort of, reproduction to do it. So
Right.
there may be some shit involved, but still, to have that split regeneration shit, that bioregeneration, is fucking retarded, and it takes away from the Doctor being like the last Time Lord.
It really is. It's just that we know what they wanted to do. They wanted to have a reason to say, that
I'm bi.
that well anyone can reproduce, because we want to do away with the word women and have pregnant people instead, whatever, or people who menstruate. I don't know, whatever flavor of the month terminology is in play.
Mhm.
And it's silly. It's silly. It's silly that from a writing perspective that they lean so specifically into the agenda / the message, as the critical drinker likes to say, when there are so many more interesting ways to present your story and your characterization and the character's arc that can serve those purposes in an indirect manner and get people thinking about it. My Miles Morales concept is a good example. Miles Morales should just drop Spider-Man as a superhero name and identity entirely and just be badass Miles Morales. Because that is a fantastic allegory for a gay person coming out of the closet.
Yeah.
Dropping the mask. It's a great allegory for that. We had an allegory me and some other people came up with for a Superman movie, which is really a Supergirl movie, but Superman is implicated and involved a little bit. If you remember in that cartoon Justice League when they cloned Supergirl to make Galatea.
Oh, I remember that one.
I do not
Okay.
remember that.
Who's the one that talked about it?
We were going to mention that part of the cloning process involved having to splice in human DNA.
Yep, it was going to be Amanda Waller.
Oh yeah, they did that
Yeah.
for Young Justice as well, for when they created Superboy. They went to clone
Yes.
Superman, but because when trying to clone him, his DNA was too crazy in that whole thing. Basically, Lex Luthor put his own DNA in there to...
Right. Essentially, to clone a Kryptonian, there are gaps that you can fill with human DNA to make the process work.
Yeah.
And we were going to use Amanda Waller because this would change Galatea's eyes from blue to brown, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it would be a great allegory because Supergirl and Superman by the end of the movie accept Galatea as part of their family.
Yeah.
Regardless of the process by which she was created. And it would be a great allegory for accepting the
Outcast, the misfit.
the outcast, the black sheep, as it
Yeah.
were, of the family as a part of the family, regardless of the circumstances
of their birth.
by which they live. Yeah. So trans people, gay people, biracial people, it would suit all of those. It would hit all of those points without saying, or without, put a chick in it, make her lame and gay.
Or having to, beat the message over the head, or to beat people over the head with the message. You make the message a little more subtle, like...
Right. And
like hell, you look at the X-Men, that has a lot of things that can plot. It's like be a analogy for the acceptance of gays, other people of other races, different religions, all sorts of things fit into there.
And the way we were going to do it was Clark and Kara were just going to say to Galatea at the end of the story, we brought you here. This is the Fortress of Solitude. And we weren't even going to say, welcome to the family, Galatea.
Yeah.
We were just going to say, welcome to the Fortress of Solitude. Because
Galatea Zor-El.
Basically, yeah. Yeah,
that's what we said it was going to happen. Like, they would call her Galatea Zor-El, and that's all they would say.
Yeah. They didn't. You don't have to lean into it. You don't have to say, this is specifically about the gays. Because we're making a gay movie about gay people with gay powers and and a gay story. You don't need to do that.
Hey, by the way, did you know they're gay?
Gay.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey,
You
she's
don't-
gay.
Granted, the best I guess would be satire of that was still the everyone has AIDS type thing for
Oh yeah.
and Team America World Police. That would be like
Yeah.
everyone is gay. Everyone.
Yeah, you
has
don't have to
AIDS.
have a gay theme song. You don't have to have gay colors over everything.
Well, it's one of those things as well. Like whenever they do have that, they have a huge problem of like okay, it's like yeah, they have a gay character. Okay, this character you know they have to be gay. They have to be stereotypically gay. It's the same for when in a lot of cases specific black characters or of other ethnicities or nationalities that they have to fall into that stereotype.
Oh yeah,
And it's
anytime there's an Oriental character, you hear that same music. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. You get anytime there's a black character, all they listen to is hip hop or rap.
Yes.
You know that's one of the reasons that first episode of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was so well done is because at the end Will Smith starts playing classical piano and Uncle Phil's like, "What the fuck?"
Because he didn't expect that.
Right, because Uncle Phil prejudged Will as much as Will was prejudging Uncle Phil and his family.
Uh-huh.
And now all I can think of is because of the whole thing of them having that typical like black walk swagger. I do want to bring this up because of what happened a bit to me earlier because it was leg day today. And I made it to the grocery. I didn't have any soreness really until I made it to the grocery store. So I made it to the hardware store to pick up a gift card for my folks. And I made it to the grocery store to pick up some things. And all of a sudden my legs started getting sore. And I was just like, Jesus Christ, man. I actually have to walk with like implied swagger to not wobble.
Right.
Oh, geez.
That's funny.
And again, you know, this it's what I call Hollywood's version of culture. Because only in Hollywood do all the blacks do graffiti and listen to hip hop.
It's not
And
even
look like they were injured in a football game.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing is, it's not in all of that. Like, regardless of whether or not you like it, one of my favorite TV shows that's had several different gay characters in it, but is NCIS. And one of them they have is a gay agent that you find out later on is gay, is actually called Dornigat. And you see him go from basically being like a probationary agent to actual field agent to how this dude goes and the whole thing. But like when you find out he's gay, it's him and McGee, and they're supposed to be bringing in this femme fatale and whatnot. And he ends up basically getting jumped on, or I shouldn't say jumped on, but getting jumped so that way she can escape and whatnot. And like McGee's like, you were distracted by her beauty, and you just hear Dornigan. He's like, no, she's not my type. McGee's like, no, she's everyone's type. And he goes, McGee, I'm gay. And he's like, what? He goes, but you can't tell Tony. So like quite literally you have the whole thing going out, and then like not only does he have that, like unfortunately they do have his character die, but he goes out like a fucking champ saving people, so
Right.
and everything. So it's like that's doing a gay character right, because you find out about that and there's still several more episodes that have him in there for that, and him being gay is not even any part of that whatsoever. It's him as an agent. Like he brings that up of how it's like he wanted to be accepted as an agent. He didn't want to be have people look at him differently because he's gay, or the fact that his mom's a fucking like former CIA operative.
Right. It drives me crazy. They try so hard to push these characters, gay, trans, whatever, whatever the like I said, the flavor of the month is. They try so hard to push it that they lean too far into it, and
it becomes all they are.
All they do is create a resentment.
Yeah. Well,
it's really it's bad writing. And that's the part that I find most offensive, is that the writing is so bad.
It's like this could be an amazing character if you
focused
on creating a character.
Well,
Right.
that's a problem with a lot of TV shows and movies, that there's typically bad writing or lapses in writing because they'll just let things fall through the cracks and whatnot. Something that's supposed to be like a major event that they then just stop caring about there, pretty much.
Right. And really, all they got to do is let the character breathe.
Yeah.
A good example of where they did it right, I think, is with Mr. Terrific on Arrow.
Oh yeah,
'Cause-
that was actually really good.
'cause,
I did
he-
not get that far into that show.
I can't say that I blame you.
No, it's not like I hate it. It's just at the time frame, I didn't have the CW
Time.
and whatnot.
Okay, well, yeah. But here's what they did, man. They introduced him as a gay character. And that's fine too. It's fine to introduce someone as a gay character, but never did the writing or the portrayal lean on being gay.
Yeah.
Not once. The guy
Nope.
wanted to be a hero, and he
Mhm.
was. And no one ever complained about him. Meanwhile, you get like the way they did Batgirl, where only a lesbian woman can be the Batman or something
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
because woman and lesbian, and let's never do the right thing. We'll just lesbian our way out of it. Oh, shut up, movie. You suck.
We'll just lesbian our way out of it. Okay.
It's pretty much what it was.
Yeah.
Well, it's what they did. When it came time to and this is a repeating theme. When it came time for Batwoman to do the right thing and subdue bad villain person, it just wouldn't happen because the message
Yeah.
or something. And it just, again, these people, you know what it is? You ever see that clip from the Family Guy where Peter's like, I did not care for the Godfather.
Yeah.
It insists.
It
on
insists
itself.
upon itself. That's what they're doing. The way they're not, I'm not saying the gay people, blacks, or whatever are doing this. The writers are doing it.
The
They,
writers.
Oh, yes.
they
That's why
insist upon themselves.
that's why I said
what
that they try
means.
to beat you over the head with the message.
Yes, that's what they're doing. It's just every time I see one of them do it, I just hear Peter's Griffin's voice. They insist upon themselves,
Mm-hmm.
and it won't go away.
Oh, yeah, and they've been doing that for way too long.
Oh yeah,
Well,
it's incredible. And I'm surprised that they released the Marvels. To be honest,
that's like the whole thing of look at how the fact whenever you see something, it's kind of in writing in a way, but it's predominantly like how these people will also look at history. Hey, here's a thing of two people who were friends. These two guys that were friends for a thing. They were obviously gay. It's like, do you not have you never understood friendship? Have you never
they don't.
had friends?
they don't. That's just it. The people who write this shit, they don't have real life experiences anymore. Back when the original Star Trek in that era, all of that stuff was produced, written, acted, and directed by people who had come out of World War II.
Yeah.
Okay? Either in or out of the military, there was shit going on with World War II.
Yeah.
And, on the home front, people were struggling because so much stuff was being donated to the war effort. Meanwhile, in the actual war, in the military, you're going through some shit.
Yeah.
All right.
That's how like
experience
Tolkien wrote freaking the Lord of the Rings series.
Yes.
Yeah.
Those experiences were brought back when it came time to make happy space opera stuff. Because people live through that the people we have acting and writing and producing and directing now, they for the
They've
most part
never-
haven't been in war. They haven't lived life.
Oh, it's like
I
was
get a
telling-
job driving a taxi for a while or working in a restaurant, flipping a burger.
Well, that's
Okay.
like I was telling my
Those
dad
real
when
life
I visited him.
experiences prepare you for that kind of a career. Go ahead.
So that's like I was talking with my dad when we were talking about some of the stuff, some of that. It's a lot of these people, they've never had actual strife in their world.
Right.
And I know Monkey said it, several different people have said it, but it is true. When you look at someone that they don't have that strife, they haven't had to do any of that, like they just don't know what to go with, and instead of trying to go out and find it, they just, as you said, they insist upon themselves. I mean,
I mean,
obviously they have to know what they're talking about because they're writers or some shit.
right, and it's doesn't even necessarily have to be strife, but it does have to be a real life experience where you're dealing with other people, because that's how you get to know how people act and react.
Yeah.
And people, not gay people, not trans people, not white people, people,
People in general.
just fucking people. And
That's the problem.
that's apparently too much, though. I don't know.
Yep. They just want to be retarded.
That's why I've lost hope for Star Trek, Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Doctor Who.
I
Because-
actually enjoyed the new Indiana Jones.
The Dial of Destiny.
Yeah.
Wow.
Whoa.
I mean, I
I
didn't
watched
give it.
it. It wasn't bad.
I didn't give it a
Don't tell
chance.
for bad taste.
One of the issues I have is 206-year-old Indiana Jones still being Indiana Jones.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my thing was, okay, everybody was so gung ho it was gonna be like the girl taking over and being the hero. The only situations where she actually outperformed him were the situations where it would make sense that somebody younger and not a million years old would do better than million-year-old Indiana Jones, you know?
Right.
No. People's main issue is, again, the same issue that we're having with Doctor Who. It is a more experienced character, an elderly character being told up by a young punk. And it's female at this time. And it's usually a female.
Well, the other thing that doesn't help for the writing of Doctor Who is they keep trying to do the subversion thing. They're like, this latest episode, this latest thing is really going to piss off the fans. And it's like, dude, you're doing a TV show. This is, of all the things you want to predominantly cater to the fans of, it's this.
Yes.
Yep.
Like, again, I'll bring up a thing that happened at NCIS, and it happened for a good long while. Like, up until I think it was like the 4th or 5th season, they did a thing that so many movies and TV shows do. They take a 1911 and they have the hammer forward and somehow the person fires it. That's not how that gun operates. Because of people in the military and not in the military, it's like writing letters and whatnot, they actually started having single action guns that if they were going to fire, the hammer was back prop like it was supposed to be. They would be cocked and locked.
Right. It's funny, those little details that will pull you out. I play guitar, so when I see someone not playing a guitar but playing a guitar in a movie, I'm Same thing with piano. Plus, you know.
Well, that's like the whole thing for hacking as well. Half that shit's not done that. It's like, I shouldn't say half of it. 90% of that shit's not done that way.
No, most of it's done on a fucking telephone.
Or in like DOS or some shit.
Well, yeah, but my point being, the entry point to a successful hacking operation is usually information gathering.
Oh, yeah. But no, like they'll show them like mid-hack and it's all like, graphics and whatnot going in there. It's like, that's not how this works.
Yeah, it's all gigacode or whatever. Yeah. Oh, God. I hate the way they do hacking, to be honest. Wasn't it NCIS where they had two people typing on the same keyboard?
Yes, they've done that several times, and it's
to counter a hack. I mean,
not even just for countering a hack, just for like so many other things. And I'm like, that's not gonna help things go any faster. That's gonna be like that one dumbass game we were playing on Johnny's channel when he tried out the latest jackpot games, and they had the shit where it's like up to 4 people could be typing in the same thing for a response to do some love life thing for the fucking host or whatever.
Yeah.
That shit was completely fucking retarded.
That sounds like it's going to be more dependent upon an internet connection than
It
someone typing.
partially is, and also people talking to each other. Because again, when it comes to
Right.
Jackbox games, you play one of typically three ways. Seriously, for the meme, in the most part, like basically just shit posting, and then like
Yep.
trying to figure out what the fuck's going on.
Right. But to bring it all back to this latest Doctor Who adventure, or this clip, shut
Oh.
up, movie. You suck.
That I. mm,
The other question I have on that one, because the whole thing of like, okay, that they're going through mitosis apparently. Okay, so if they can mitosis a shirt and a tie
Why not
and underwear? Well, no, the dude was wearing underwear from what I could tell, and he had on socks. Why couldn't
No,
he have
he
pants?
actually he had on shoes. David Tennant lost the shoes in the and he lost the tie. But why didn't he lose the shirt?
Yeah.
I mean, we can assume based on the shoes and tie that he lost the underwear too.
Well, in that whole
because
situation,
they didn't want the audience to have to wear sunglasses.
well, in that whole
Probably.
situation as well, every time the Doctor's regenerated in that whole thing that I'm aware of, he's in a completely different outfit. So it would make sense.
No,
that
he's
you-
not.
No,
not?
no.
I
Generally,
swore.
It's his original outfit.
Oh,
he would be in the outfit he was dressed as. Is just his body would change, but they
And then he goes into like a little room and
Oh,
Yeah.
Takes out his
again,
own.
it's been a long time since I actually went and watched. Like I can't remember who was right after Eccles because
David Tennant.
David Tennant. Yeah, that I only watched a little bit of that. Again, I haven't watched this shit in like 10 years.
Like, I'll put you like this, Rodney. I'm a huge Doctor Who fan. Like, I was a huge Doctor Who fan.
A
I
Whovian,
remember
as they say.
sitting with my grandmother watching old Who. Like, my first Doctor is literally one of the first Doctors.
Okay,
My favorite
you
is
don't need to tap your
Elliot.
hand on whatever it is you're doing. You don't need to have
Sorry.
the claps in between words.
I was
ugh.
I'm sorry, I couldn't resist what I had. Like, I can hear. I don't know if if anyone's listening and they can hear the tapping, but I can hear like the tapping of your hands.
no. Look, I understand the tapping.
I understand
When I get
it.
into it, when I get wrapped up in the point I'm making, and there's like 6 of them, I'll sit here at my desk with no camera on me, and I will be pointing
Oh,
with each point I make, as if someone's watching me
oh,
and can
Yeah.
see what I'm
oh
doing.
yes,
and
I'm there with them.
recognize the emphasis.
I'm just trying to state that it's like we can also hear that, and that can take away from the points he's trying to make to everyone
can.
else.
It can, but the clap talking you just did, oh my god, I want to strangle someone now.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh,
That
geez.
so
noise
I got my
too.
point across. Silly.
I don't trust clap talkers.
Oh God, no. I trust people who talk with their hands like I do because my hands are going through around right now and waving around a little bit as I do shit, almost doing the the Italian thing occasionally. But yeah, half time it's like I'm just doing finger guns when I'm talking for no fucking reason. But to your point, so you were
like
watching.
Isaac on the Love Boat.
Yeah, so you were watching Doctor Who with your grandmother, and it was like straight up the first Doctor.
No, not the first. It was
Well, your first Doctor.
yeah, my first Doctor. So I've seen tons of Doctor Who where, to me, it breaks. You have all these years of established lore and canon. You have all these years, like 50 plus, almost 60 years of material, books, comics, a few games, a shit ton of stuff that you could have drew from, and you could make this character, or you can make a new Doctor Who, and you pull this shit. I don't mind Doctor Who regenerating to a black man. Honestly, it's already established that this shit happens way back when. Like you could, when they transform, you can become completely different people. The Doctor's always been white or Caucasian, but that doesn't matter. He has a whole set of regenerations. Okay, well, all right, whatever. But my issue with this is this mitosis regeneration, this pulling of his body to make him regenerate. It breaks fucking everything we know about Doctor Who. Because again, Time Lords are linked. They don't reproduce asexually, and it that means there are two doctors, two of the same beings in reality, and who gets the TARDIS?
Well, no, Tennant's going to die off.
So essentially, they're going to kill. So they're going to kill the original and have the clone.
Well, I don't even know if clone is the right word. It might be.
Like,
Well, here's the funny part. They tried, okay? They tried to do the thing where they insert one bit of dialogue that makes the whole thing okay. I thought it was just a myth because they included that little bit of dialogue, right? The problem is the way they wrote the story in the first place. That bit of dialogue doesn't work like it would for the first episode of Voyager if they said, well, we'll just have to build torpedoes along the way.
Shit, I got one better for you. It doesn't track with what they've already established in the Timeless Children.
No, you know what they did? They fucking Halloween ends. That's what they did. They see Halloween Ends. That Corey Cunningham story would have worked if he was introduced in Halloween 2018 as a character, and we got to witness shit happening with him from that point. But what they did was, we didn't go in with a plan, so we're just going to make it like this Corey Cunningham character is a pivotal point in this so-called trilogy, and those three movies are barely connected. It's not a trilogy.
Shit. To quote my favorite Star Trek series and showrunners when they fuck up, Al Moraine.
Oh God.
What?
A little bit of a side tangent real quick. Mitch, for your Rumble, do you have 2 Rumble channels?
Yes and no.
Okay.
What do you ask?
Oh, because I was going to look at linking the channels.
Oh, okay. But no, the main one is the one that has a lot of content. I mis-uploaded one piece, but that doesn't matter. So that it behaves like it's on a different channel, and it doesn't show up on my regular Rumble stuff. But there it is.
Yeah, I'm just trying to look at it if it's the one with 7 followers, the one with 42 followers. I'm guessing the one with 42. All right, get rid of that.
What?
The Al Moraine thing was an episode of Deep Space Nine. Yep. And the showrunners, when they created it, they were like, this was like the worst episode of the series that we've ever created, and it became a running gag or joke when they made a fuck up or they couldn't think of something, they just throw up their hands and go, Al Moraine.
Yep.
Well, kind of like in every sci-fi movie, whenever they were wanting to explain something of how it would work, they'd be like, because of quantum mechanics.
Quantum torpedoes.
Yep.
Well, you know what? Yeah, there was a Star Trek Voyager game. What was it? Elite Force, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Whoever wrote that became a little too excited about the prefix ISO.
Yeah.
Because everything was isolinear, isomagnetic, isogravimetric. Everything had an ISO prefix, and it's like, oh, shut up.
Oh boy.
We see what you're doing there. We know. We're watching,
you really don't
and we're
understand how
laughing
the
at you.
mechanics of the universe works.
Yeah.
Please quietly shut up.
It's so bad.
It really was. It was terrible.
Well, meanwhile, I still maintain that Doctor Who can be fixed, at least. Star Trek can be fixed, but it would be a little more complicated. Star Wars can't be fixed. It has to just... The only way to fix Star Wars is to say, remember all this shit? Fuck it.
Nope. I can instantly fix Star Wars.
How's that?
There is a 50,000 year period between the Old Republic and the New Hope. Fertile ground for new stories.
There's that. I have a different angle on that I'll run by you in a bit.
Yeah, really the only way for Star Wars is to go either further into the future or further into the past.
Well,
The problem that
here's-
fucked up the current thing is they wanted to continue the fucking Skywalker story that didn't need to be told any further.
they wanted to piggyback. Let's be
Yeah.
clear.
Yeah.
Oh God, now you're just. I know. Oh Jesus Christ! They pulled the fucking military. They had to piggyback
What?
off the caveat to reiterate to follow up.
Yeah,
Oh God.
Oh shit.
but that's what they did.
Salad.
That's exactly what Abrams did with Star Wars. They piggyback. They basically he re-released he re-released A New Hope with The
Yep.
Force Awakens, and it was shit.
The
It
Force-
started. It could have been good, but it was
Yeah.
shit. No. Oh, well, here's what they. Oh no, these TIE fighters have the black and white parts inverted, so they look different, but they're still TIE fighters. What's the fucking point?
And I had a lot of arguments with people on that whole thing because they kept wanting to be like, "Oh, Rey has got to be a child of like Obi-Wan or Luke," and I was like, "I hope it's fucking neither," and it's just some like random thing. Like, why? And it's like, because it's called the fucking Force Awakens. It should be a whole new awakening to Force users.
Yes.
This
And
is
people
what it
just
should have been.
stared at me with it's like, and like other than a few quaint like bigger Star Wars fans, a lot of people just gave me that blank stare of like, "But why for though?" And it's like, my God.
Because
I know I'm not the smartest man around, and I'm not someone who goes and they has to watch good films, but I'm not that fucking brain dead.
Or conversely, they could have changed the name of the movie.
Yeah,
Not even that. You had two great. All right, so if you want to do this dyad thing, it should have never been between Finn and it should never been between Kylo Ren and Rey. It should have been between Finn and Rey, and then Kylo and Phasma. Make Phasma Finn's enemy that he has to defeat, and Kylo Rey's enemy. That
Yeah.
way,
Yes.
and then give them show how as a relationship that these two are learning to work together while Kylo and Phasma are constantly at odds, and that's why their relationship is weaker than the main characters. Have
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
have Finn defeat Phasma in the second movie, and it kind of makes Rey angry that she can't defeat her enemy, and that gives you a third movie tension.
Yeah.
And then have Phasma come back. If you played the Old Republic, the first one, the second one, you had Darth Sion who could not die because he was so fucking angry. He would just come back. Have her have those powers. She just can't die because she just gets pissed and more pissed. You know?
I mean,
And then
yeah,
have-
that is ways they could have done it, but that would have actually required more forethought.
Talent.
And well, in all reality as well, if we're going to be completely honest, the other thing that really fucked Disney when they took that over was they decided to take all of these books in comics and everything that were considered
And say they
actual
don't
canonical
fit the
lore and say, fuck that, and none of those matter. It's like, bro, quite literally, all you had to do was take someone's book, say it's based on their book, and tell that story.
Yep. And
Shit,
boom.
you had great characters like Lobaka, the Wookiee Jedi.
Yeah.
Shit, you could have had Jedi Leia fighting a Jedi Hutt. Belferon. She fought Belferon and won.
Yeah,
Again,
but here's some fun. I can tell you the way
Pardon
to. They apparently have. They have reservations about getting away from the Skywalker saga / and from that era of the rebellion and the Galactic Civil War.
Mhm.
All they have to do, this is what I would do, because I've already storyboarded this out in my brain a little bit.
okay.
All they have to do, that they can distance themselves from all that from the first 3 seconds that anything is on screen. All you need are the words "a short time ago in a galaxy far, far away."
There you go.
Well, I mean, they already
Yeah.
proved that with like the first season and whatnot of The Mandalore. It was
But
set in the
that's
sa-
that's
it, wa-
still
oh,
that's
it-
still
it was
centered
set,
around in that era.
yeah, it was centered around that era, but it had nothing to do with that storyline that was told prior,
Right.
which was a
Were
really
they-
big thing. And then the biggest fuck up that I know a lot of my friends are still we fight about in a lot of cases, and it's the same one I've had a fight with for people for Devil May Cry. Boba Fett should have fucking stayed dead.
Yes.
Kind of.
Oh,
Yeah.
God. Monkeys on your side.
Just
Agreed.
like Virgil in Devil May Cry, Virgil should have stayed dead, especially when the motherfucker exploded in Devil May Cry 1.
You know what would have worked really good with Boba Fett? You're right. He stays dead. But
He's a clone, so have a clone of him.
no. Someone finds a suit of his armor, and that leads that someone to finding a lair. Kind of like they did with the Hobgoblin in Marvel Comics.
Yeah.
The guy found the Green Goblin's lair and changed shit up. But someone the difference here being someone finds Boba Fett stuff
And
It
then finds
becomes-
Safe Slave 1.
Yeah, basically becomes Boba Fett,
Yeah.
but it's not the real Boba Fett. That would be a
Yeah,
That'd be
it'd almost be like a Dread Pirate Roberts, but
Yes.
not exactly.
Yes.
So it'd
Yeah.
be a different,
Yes, you would
take
start-
on that. So it's someone else taking over the mantle.
right.
Yes.
And what you do there is you're right. The Dread Pirate Roberts is the perfect thing. You're starting a Star Wars version of the Dread Pirate Roberts mythos. What a fun fucking way to propel Boba Fett into the future.
Oh yeah.
Then in my
Yeah.
film where we have a girl Jedi who is very weak in the Force. So weak, in fact, that she's taken to a sword master, not like a lightsaber master, but a sword master to learn to duel. But she's just strong enough in the Force to be a Jedi.
Yeah.
So did you? All right. Again, this is old canon, but it was written. There is a Jedi who can't use the Force at all. He's really ass, but he's a fucking amazing duelist.
Right. That's what I want to do with this. Not with this girl, because she's still just an apprentice. And I'm dropping the word Padawan, by the way, because fuck
Yeah.
that nonsense. This is where George Lucas fucked up. Padawan, midichlorian. We don't need this shit.
Well,
A Jedi craves not these things. Okay.
Yeah. Well,
Hey, Johnny.
Hey, what's up, Johnny? The Padawan thing wasn't necessarily a bad thing in my opinion because it did give something that would go from there, basically a rank structure, which apprentice would work. It was the whole metachlorian count thing that was absolutely retarded because it does fall into that whole thing of there are certain parts that you shouldn't actually explain.
Right.
The magic loses its mysticism once it's been explained, I believe is the old saying.
Exactly.
Well, again, if you look at it, it's been retconned out by in Clone Wars, and then it got retconned out in the second movie. Like he admitted, like, yeah, that was a big mistake, and I never should have done it. And metachlorians don't count for shit.
I mean, I still think if it was supposed to be that Jar Jar Binks was actually supposed to be a Sith, they should have stuck with that.
That would have been hilarious.
All right, so
That would have actually been a great subversion / just to like throw everyone off.
yes,
I agree.
Yeah, I don't mean that it would have been hilarious, like funny, but
Like pretty much have it have
Just
been that the
to have people be
it,
that
it
something
gets even
that
better.
like fooled you that much.
No, it gets even better because Yoda could.
I would have had to have laughed at myself for falling for it.
Yeah, but it gets even better on another level because Yoda admitted he could not see into the dark side. Like, he didn't even know the council was bad. And to have Jar Jar Binks that close and they couldn't sense it.
and seeing
Right.
that whole thing. What I would make different is I would actually make it that Jar Jar is Palpatine's master because I want to say the
Dark Plagueis.
the Jar Jar Binks race live longer than the
Right.
Gungans, yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they live longer than the humanoids, so it's like that would actually make sense that his he wouldn't necessarily look his age because if he used the dark side, he'd be aging slower or whatnot, and
Right.
he would have convinced all the people that he in his planet that he was just this dumb person and whatnot, which is why they were laughing and everything. So he's basically going through and helping to push things to where he wants. That way they can take that and the whole thing as well as then the Chancellor. then is basically trying to usurp that because obviously they have to kill their master.
You want to know what else? How else that would have worked? We never saw Jar Jar die.
We know about his fate though.
How?
And so I think it's a book or a comic or something.
Damn.
They show him as a penniless peddler, or not peddler, but beggar.
Yeah. He's a street performer.
Well, no, shit, that could still work because the Empire fell.
Yeah.
And,
No, that's during the time of the Empire.
oh, that's true. But that could still work because he's just still playing the part, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
He said his part is to appear harmless when he's really like a master villainous bad guy.
Yeah,
Then-
so much so that he
then-
was... Go ahead.
What was that last Star Wars movie called with the Skywalker saga with Rey and all that?
Rise of the Skywalker.
Yeah, the rise of Skywalker. Instead of Palpatine attached to this big stupid machine, it's Darth Jar Jar.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. It's
That-
not Darth Vader.
That could have worked.
He had to have a dark side name. It can't be Jar Jar. That's
No.
his-
Well,
Obviously.
we're just saying that as
He's
a
just saying it, Tyr.
Yes.
He's not saying that
He-
would actually be his name.
because then you would have Snoke basically be as the person he's guiding since the Emperor's fall.
Right, but you have to lay seeds.
Yeah.
You have to lay clues of some sort in the sequel trilogy that Snoke isn't the guy.
He's just a face.
Yeah. He's just another puppet like Palpatine was that Darth Jar Jar is using to propel his agenda, which is a massive takeover of the galaxy. And then it makes sense for all these for this hidden fleet of spaceships.
Mm-hmm.
It makes sense for so many other things. But they don't plan like that. And that's one of my problems with modern cinema is there is no planning at all. At
Well,
all. Even in the
half of
even
it-
oh, go on.
But half of it is it's different directors coming. Oh well, Abrams did this movie. Now Ryan is doing this movie, and Abrams laid the seed for what he wanted in the second movie, but he didn't get that second movie. So now Ryan comes in and just fucks him over.
Well, and whose fault is that actually? It's not
Disney.
Ryan Johnson's fault. It's not Disney's fault. It's Kathleen Kennedy's fault.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
she didn't give enough of a fuck about the property to make sure that never mind that stuff.
And I will be back in just a moment.
Right on. Never mind that stuff is canonical and blah blah blah. But
Uh-huh.
that the story makes sense. That was her job.
Again, if you look at the movie, it was playing up Finn to also be a Jedi and also having help Rey.
Yes.
Like Finn fights Kylo first, and then Rey takes up the lightsaber. So it was saying that hey, Finn is going to be the one, and then Ryan almost kills Finn. Like it wasn't what was set up,
Right.
and then he had to backtrack and go, well, I can't use fucking Finn now because you didn't set him up in the second movie.
Because
Like,
he's
he
been
needs
made
to-
comic relief.
Yeah, he became comic relief, and he can't. You know, he was about to sacrifice himself when I wasn't going to have that for him. That wasn't what I envisioned for him, and not what I envisioned for Snoke either, and not what I envisioned for Luke Skywalker. You did all that to be subversive, and Luke's journey wasn't supposed to be that, but you decided you was going to fuck over my plans because you got that middle move, that pivotal movie.
Yeah.
You know, Ryan destroyed JJ's vision. Not pretty
No,
sure.
no, JJ didn't have a vision. JJ Abrams never has a vision. You know what his
I know.
skill set is? Honestly,
Exposure.
as a director and as a writer, he knows how to start a good story.
Yeah.
Everything else where he's failed upwards has got to be the result of blowjobs or something.
I mean,
Because
that's
he
a
sucks
lot
at
of
the follow
writers.
through. He just sucks at the follow through. Look at Lost. You know, Lost basically started off as adult Gilligan's Island with a bit of a mystery,
Mhm.
but we never figured out, or JJ never bothered to work out what the solution to that mystery is, or even why it's mysterious. He just left that up to other writers because he's a lazy hack. honestly, the way Doctor Who's going, the only thing you could do to it that would make it worse is to put J.J. Abrams in charge. He's a franchise killer.
Oh,
Yeah.
He's done it with Star Wars and he's done it with fucking Star Trek. He's murdered those franchises.
Star Trek could have been set like the first movie, not Into Darkness, the one with Chris Pine. You could have established that it's a different time. If you have fixed that, the TVA goes back and fixes shit. Not TVA, sorry, the Temporal Agency.
Oh,
They go back. If they were like, you would say, oh well, this is the reason why they did this. Temporal Agency fixes everything. You could save that movie and make everything else canonical.
Oh, I got a better solution for Star Trek than that. It's a cheaper one anyway.
What?
All you need to do is start making real Star Trek again, but start it off with visuals from the Discovery, Strange New Worlds, and the Abrams movies. And if the camera pulls back to reveal that it's a kid giving a history report, and the teacher admonishes the kid about using the bad robot in his secret hideout to do his book reports for him.
That's perfect.
Boom.
That is amazing.
That little kid being admonished, developing a sense of proper responsibility and doing the right thing, becomes a starship captain.
Yeah.
Boom. That's all you need. Very inexpensive. That's the way you say, hey, no, we know they fucked up. You know they fucked up. You know that we know that we let them fuck up. So here's where we're going to set shit right.
We're sorry.
Yeah, sorry for the
Here.
fuck up for the last, since 2005, 2009? 2009. So that's what, for the last 14 years. Sorry for the fuck up. We're going to put this ship back on the right course.
Well, that's where it goes in that whole thing. They try too hard in a lot of times the visuals and whatnot. The Star Trek, the new Star Trek movies, from everything I've heard, they looked amazing. And other than a quaint few that typically weren't the biggest Star Trek fans, majority of Star Trek fans, like, it was either mid or not good.
This didn't reach mid.
Well, like, this is where Tier and I have had arguments as well, because I don't know how into Devil May Cry Tier is, but even though the current anime is canon, or at least the only one that's been made, I bring up of how, while the art in it is very, very well done, it's a terrible adaptation of Devil May Cry. Because in Devil May Cry, the biggest thing about that is in cutscenes, and then if you get good enough with the character, you're slicing and dicing demons, shooting and all sorts of shit, and doing all sorts of ridiculous things, and then all of those things in the anime are just implied to be happening off screen. It's like no. That is what this series is known for. You can't take that away and make it implied. Like, you're throwing Star Trek off because you're taking things that are supposed to be there and either making them implied or just not caring about them.
Right. Well, here's a good example in Star Trek Into Darkness. When Benedict Cumberbatch reveals that he is Khan Noonien Singh, the way he says that he's Khan, he said it like everyone should recognize the name.
Yeah, I'd heard that.
And it's like, you just wrote a fucking movie where the characters in the movie act like they've seen everything in the franchise.
Yeah.
Especially in what is essentially like a prequel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. That's one of my big concerns about modern movies and TV is the characters all act like they know the entire franchise and don't care.
It's like they know, it's unfortunately very meta. You're not supposed to know what you couldn't have been there for.
Right. That's part of the problem with doing prequels. the other problem is because everyone already knows that's the problem with doing prequels. We know how it turns out. It's why I didn't go see Titanic. I know that in the end of the movie the boat would sink. Why am I?
Really
I don't
liked-
watch World War II documentaries because I know how the war turned out.
Kind of
You
like
know,
the old joke. I don't watch Passion of the Christ because I already know how it's going to end.
Right.
Ah,
Oh.
Well, yeah. There's actually a lot of good. I'm not saying that you can't do a historical piece. Okay.
No.
I'm saying that if you do a historical piece, like the Passion of the Christ, that focused on one very specific
Yeah. Event.
Yeah, and that's fine because to understand Christ's suffering, maybe we have to see a graphic
Yeah.
example of it.
Well, that's what some people are
Even-
going to need.
Whether you're
Plausibly.
religious or not doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to something like Star Trek, you can't have some guy popping off that he's Khan in a manner where he's saying it not to the people he's acting with, but to the audience.
Yeah.
You don't speak to the audience if you're an actor. You speak to the other actors.
Unless it's one of the rare instances to where it's supposed to have the fourth wall break.
Right.
yeah, that's what it is.
But
It's
Star
so
Trek
awful.
isn't supposed to have that.
No.
Nope.
Star Trek is supposed to be science fiction that's predominantly based in reality, from everything I'm aware of.
Well, ish.
No.
That's
It's still science fantasy.
That's why I said. Well, that's why I said
Well-
predominantly, not entirely, because
Yeah.
obviously there's gonna be things. But like with what was supposed to happen on the ship, from everything I'm aware of, is it had to be at least theoretically possible,
Yeah, there had to be some genuine idea behind it.
and that's where 'cause,
Harlan
like,
Ellison.
Mhm.
Harlan Ellison actually phrased it best. He said that Star Trek isn't science fiction; it's sci-fi.
yeah,
But that's not to take away from the serious impact it has had, and
no, because like
and the
that's
quality of the sci-fi in question.
because that's like Star Wars is the whole thing of it is science fantasy.
Right.
Exactly.
And to fix Doctor Who, you just need it's fun for me in a way to try to figure out, okay, these things have been fucked up for a long time. How do we fix them? All we need to fix Doctor Who is a new regeneration where the Doctor recognizes that he's been experiencing a regeneration psychosis, and that everything after, I don't know, episode 1 or 2 of the Matt Smith run has been part of the psychosis.
No, with this.
I know
this
Jack
like-
had a good, or it's like Jack Cochran's had a really good thing of like story thought process he had for that.
What's that?
I can't remember, but it's something about some other like what the female doctor was supposed to be is actually what like the not the Valkyrie, but I think it started with
The Valyard?
the Valyard, and
The
whatnot. So
Valyard.
she, because of that, like she thinks she's the doctor, but she's actually not.
Ah, that works too.
Yeah, like-
that should be.
Yeah, he's explained it several times on Ranty Monkey streams. So it's one of those things that if you're ever in there, throw him some shekels if you can and see if he can explain it. He ought to make an entire video explain it just so he can have that on his channel.
Well, see, that part of my problem, and I think part of the entertainment industry's problem with fixing these things, is that they think it's going to be a big, expensive thing to fix it. So I look for an inexpensive way to do it.
Yeah,
And I think if you have, let's just assume that we that everything from the Matt Smith Doctor to now is part of a regeneration psychosis. So when David Tennant, in his original run as the 10th Doctor, regenerates, we do a quick zip through of all of visual zip through of everything that's taken place since then, and make it only last like 5 seconds, no
Yeah.
longer. And of course, it'll be the faces of all these not doctors, and then have the regeneration complete into a now new character, a new doctor, and just have him sing. Because like one time he's like, Peter Capaldi's doctor was like, I have a new liver, I don't like the color. David Tennant was like, new teeth, that's weird.
Mhm.
So when our new doctor emerges after having that 5-second visual flashback of all these not doctors since Tenet,
Mm-hmm.
he comes out of it and he just says, "Regeneration psychosis. Hope I never go through that again." But you make it clear that it's regenerating into a new 11th Doctor, and we could just that way we could just say everything since then was a part of a psychotic episode during the regeneration
Yeah,
that
and
resolved itself once the regeneration was complete.
it's a
Was complete.
yeah, it's a style of almost saying like it was all just a dream.
Yeah.
But it's like
It was all a dream.
but instead it's like no, it quite literally was kind of his, because of him being the regeneration, his mind being ripped apart and put back together in a way.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's the cheap, easy fix for Doctor Who. I've given you the cheap, easy fix for Star Trek. And the cheap, easy fix for Star Wars is simply to separate as far as you can from the Skywalker saga.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the best way to do that is a short time ago in a galaxy far, far away. And you tell a new story from there that is well thought out, planned out, and has an actual story arc and subplots that lead from one movie to another. All you need is a single trilogy. You could probably make them for 75 to 100 million each.
Honestly,
And because they'd be good movies that are well planned out and well written and well all that shit, they would make the money. The first one would the first one might break even because of the damage done, but it would. But after it breaks even, the word of mouth is going to be like, dude, Star Wars is back.
what I think would help would be something like that, but instead of having stuff made in a trilogy or anything like that, quite literally do like that short time ago in a galaxy far, far away. But do
Standalone movies.
they're all standalone movies that all slightly tie into each other, but they don't affect each other.
You could do it that way.
Because then it's that whole thing of like this character that was over here, like they have that interaction type thing. Or it's like they don't even have the interaction. Like this guy in this movie's having a fight here, and then in the next movie, all of a sudden, like you see the one dude is running, or you saw that there was a dude running, but he's running past the fight because of he's trying to run to save something or stop something from happening.
So let just so I
Thought
understand this.
process.
I think I understand this. Let me see if I got it. So and I'll use the original trilogy as an example. We have the first movie, which is the Luke Skywalker story.
Mhm.
Okay. And let's take the shootout at Mos Eisley,
Okay.
where they're loading up the Falcon and they're about to launch, and all the stormtroopers storm into the landing bay.
Mhm.
And Han's shooting at them, and Chewie, get us out of here, and all that shit. And we take a background character that we see there and make another movie involving that character.
Plausibly.
That kind of a crossover
Yeah.
of events, more
Like
than
that
a crossover as far as character interaction.
yes, that would be something that could happen in there.
So let's say, okay, if this is a trilogy, then what do they got? For navigation in the Star Wars universe, you got the Navicomputer.
The reason
and
why
hyperspace.
the reason
Okay.
why I was saying of going away from having the trilogy of having to have that long of a storyline, and they don't even have to necessarily have any interaction where they have that. It could be that the closest it has to interaction is because of a fight. In the first movie there was a big shootout or a big battle that like damaged shit. You have a different character later on, or it's like in the next movie that shows up and sees the aftermath of that battle that's been like that happened a couple weeks prior.
Right.
So it's like you slightly tie them together by similar locations. They don't necessarily have to intersect at the same time, and they don't even necessarily have to intersect at all. But this is going to stop the writers from having to try to think so far, and they can think of one coherent story with an actual fucking ending.
You could do a trilogy that way,
Yes,
but it wouldn't be a trilogy anymore.
it'd be an anthology.
Yeah.
And I'm
That'd be
100% fine with
interesting
that.
one to do.
Like, because that's what they originally were trying, or I shouldn't say originally, but that's what after doing the first two Halloween movies, they were trying to do was make it an anthology
Well, no-
series.
Now, to be fair, John Carpenter wanted to make it an anthology series after the first movie.
Okay, yeah. So from there, it's that he wanted it to be an anthology series. So that's the way it would have been.
And you know I have my plan for that.
Yes,
Most people know I have my plan for that if they've heard me.
but it
before.
would fall into that to where instead of having to have that, it's basically that they share the same universe.
Well, see, now the way I would do that, I think, for Star Wars, is I would have the trilogy that is a single story, but I would still go with what you said and have events that that
Lead
sprout
upward.
outward from that. So it's not telling that same story; it's telling a different story, but those events in the trilogy play a part.
Yeah, I mean, hell, you could even have that because of an
Not
event.
like Rogue One did.
Well, you could have it that an event that happened
I like Rogue One.
in that movie is the direct cause of why the next movie happens, but it's because of a different thing, like
Right,
because
it's-
of a fight that happened there, and I'm not even necessarily say a fight, but because like we'll just say the main character, he's going to leave and whatnot, and his antagonist shows up and causes a bunch of trouble, and or I won't even say his antagonist, the like a mercenary or one of his henchmen that doesn't get
I got
killed.
one for you.
Go for
I
it.
got one for you.
So
Let's go back to the Mos Eisley shootout, right?
Mhm.
Because
Uh-huh.
there's going to be incidental damage,
Yeah.
correct? Okay, so Millennium Falcon takes off, everything's cool. But in another movie, it's after that shootout, and there's a former bounty hunter / mercenary who's now just like a down on his luck gambler.
Okay.
And something in that docking bay was what he was going to use to pay off his debt, but that got blowed up.
Ooh.
So now the fuckers are coming after him to pay off his debt, and he's got to lean on his old mercenary / bounty hunter training to get himself out of a jam.
There we go.
But he still needs to pay off the debt too.
Yeah.
And you could make that debt to Pizza the Hut or whatever,
Yeah.
Great
and
callback.
Or
and
to
still have it be a tangent to the original story.
or have it be that instead of it being something that he was using to pay off his debt, that was the package that he was trying to get for the job that he was hired to do. So
Yeah.
now there's the
Yeah,
whole
totally.
rigmarole with that.
Yeah, I mean, you could spin it a bunch of different ways. Have an original story that springs from the events in the main story without impacting it.
Yeah.
And boom, you've got an anthology series.
Yeah.
See, and it always comes back to laying down your seeds. You have to have the seeds in place properly. We have to see the package get blowed up.
Yeah.
In the original story.
Well, you don't even have to necessarily see the package get blowed up. You just have to see that there were explosions.
Yes.
And then in the next movie, like they had the flashback of during, it's like he's like the person like, I can't believe it. I was supposed to be there an hour later. If I wouldn't have stopped for something or other, or
the guy finally gets into the docking bay once forensics has left the scene.
Yeah.
Like he's just looking around and he's like, fucking stormtroopers.
Well, it's like he shows up later on because he's supposed to, be picking up something while dropping off stuff as well. And he's just like, yo, what happened to my package that I'm supposed to pick up? Like, we believe it got destroyed. And he's like, wait, what? You realize who that's for, right?
Never say who it's for, but do it like the Marcellus Wallace thing, where all you see is the glow from the briefcase. You know who that's for, right?
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. It's like you imply that who it's for is it's for his employer that was doing that. Because basically he was either being a mercenary or, as Han was, a smuggler.
And a funnier way to do it would be, oh, this would be great. The whole cantina scene where Han Solo shoots Greedo.
Oh shit!
Greedo's brother shows up.
Ah.
An hour or so after Han Solo leaves, And it's like, motherfuckers killed my brother. Who killed my brother? And everyone's giving him a story. So he goes chasing after someone who's got nothing to do with it,
That works as well.
only to find out at the end that the guy he's trapped, and they come down to that, that gunfight in the street kind of thing. They get to that point and it's not the guy.
Yeah.
See, that's how you subvert expectations.
Yeah.
You don't do it by turning every aspect of the story on its ear.
Right.
Like in my Halloween anthology thing,
Mhm.
that you still have your foundational Michael Myers stories,
Mm-hmm.
but you lay the seeds and you go off in tangents.
Yeah.
Basically, sort of like side quests. One of them I had an idea for, and I want to make this. See, this is the thing. You don't have to stick with the slasher motif in each of the tangents.
No.
You can have,
Because
for example, in one of the movies they mentioned a place called Mill Creek, I believe.
yeah, as I was saying, Halloween wasn't it season? Was it Season of the Witch or was the third one?
Yeah, season.
And that
Yeah.
whole thing, they had the whole mask thing that was going on, which still played in with the whole fact of Michael Myers wearing a mask and that whole thing, but it wasn't the generic slasher thing.
Right. But those didn't take place in the same universe either.
Yes.
Mine will. Because I think them taking place in the same universe is what helps the connective tissue work between the stories in these
Well,
anthologies.
I think that's similar to what they did in what was it? I think it was like the Amityville Horror TV show, where they had each season was set in a different thing.
Kind of like that, yeah. But see, this thing, the Mill Street, or I'm sorry, the Mill Creek Massacre, Halloween, the Mill Creek Massacre. Okay, this movie would not be a slasher film. It would be a more of a supernatural, vengeful spirit kind of thing.
Hmm.
And the way I've got it, this team of outlaws, bank robbers, jewel heist, whatever, show up in this town, Mill Creek. But unbeknownst to them, Mill Creek, for some reason, and we don't go into the detail here because this is where the audience has to fill in the blanks with their own story and give them something to think about. But there's a spirit in Mill Creek that guards the town.
Hmm.
And it is a
Okay.
vengeful spirit. It's a mean motherfucking spirit. And it uses a variety of methods to do so. You ever see I think it's Fantasia? The Disney thing,
Turn 'em
Fantasia,
on.
Oh yeah.
with where they use the music piece Night on Bald Mountain.
I
Yeah,
love
sure.
Night on Bald Mountain. That's the only part of Fantasia that I love.
And I would say for the
With-
whole
with the
vengeful spirit thing,
from the mountain that comes down to the town.
Yes.
In my version, that spirit is guarding the town for
And-
some reason.
and as well, you could also do it that it being a vengeful spirit, it can judge a person's character. So
Yes.
the average, like normal everyday citizen that wouldn't do anything to their, they get to pass through no problem.
Right. But the people in the town sort of know it exists, so they know that they'd better mind their P's and Q's, as it were.
It's
So
basically
it's still a terror on the town in a way, but it's more subtle.
yeah.
When you get the interlopers who openly have no fucks to give, that's when shit gets real.
Yeah.
So it's almost like a Twilight Zone episode in a way.
Mm.
Did you guys ever see Trick or Treat?
Which one? I think there's a couple. If you're talking
That's-
about the ones from the 80s with Ozzy Osbourne and Gene Simmons as cameos, I think I have.
I don't think so.
Are you talking about the one that's got the kid with the giant head? It's
The
actually a
kid
demon.
with the giant head.
Yeah, that wasn't the 80s. That was like the 90s or 2000s.
Oh yeah, I did see that one. That's where there's like 4 or 5 different stories.
Yeah, because the
It's
kid.
an
but-
anthology story.
It's an
but
anthology
also
movie,
just
but
one.
it's all happening to people who show up in this one
Well,
neighborhood on Halloween.
Yeah, and
Exactly.
that have an interaction with him, and basically when
Yeah.
he says trick or treat, and if they don't have candy to give him, that's when things happen.
Right.
Yeah.
Not exactly,
Uh,
but yeah.
I think that's
Well,
what
just
happens
that
to a couple.
That's the one story. But yeah, I did see that. That's a fun little movie.
I
but that-
love that movie. It's one of
But
my
that's the
favorites.
kind of thing I'm talking about. They did it
Yeah, exactly.
in a single anthology movie, but I'm
Yeah.
talking about a series of movies,
Yeah.
all under the Halloween umbrella.
Uh-huh.
So you'd have
But yeah.
Halloween, the I wouldn't call it the Babysitter Murders, the Michael Myers story. I
Yeah.
wouldn't call it the Babysitter Murders because that's the original title of the original movie, and
Mhm.
that only works for one movie
Yeah.
in my trilogy.
Well, that was kind of the point.
Well, yeah, I
The
know it was supposed to be one
First
movie.
movie was supposed to be the first movie was supposed to be Babysitter Killings. The second movie was supposed to be a play off People's Fear of Hospitals. Unfortunately, they kept it based on Laurie Strode and Michael Myers.
Right, big mistake.
And so, yeah, that's where
I'm
the mistake came in.
I'm completely with John Carpenter on that because that creating the thing about Michael and Laurie being brother and sister, that killed the franchise.
Yeah.
That's
that didn't
why
help.
it doesn't work. And I'm going to give you a little bit of an insight on what I'm working on with this. All right. I say working on it like I've got a job. That's not the case. But it's the story I'm building. Like I said, making Michael and Laurie siblings wrecked the franchise going forward, and here's why. After Michael kills his sister, who does he kill next? Because he's done. He's finished with his job then. Because he doesn't know where his parents are. Once he finds that out, maybe he'd go after them. But, then we get Jamie Lloyd, his niece. And he needs to go after her. So, after a while, you run out of cousins, aunts, uncles, close neighbors. You're running out of that shit
The local mailman.
for Michael Myers to kill. Yeah, the milkman, whoever. You run out of people for him to go after. So in my version, kind of running with what John Carpenter did in Halloween 2, I flipped it on its ear. Michael, I'm assuming at least one of you has seen, I don't know, Angela, at this point, the video about Michael wasn't trying to kill Laurie.
Yes.
That I did. And how I used clips from the actual movie to demonstrate that.
Oh yeah, because
Uh-huh.
he had several chances to and still didn't.
Well, my favorite one is in the original Halloween, Michael
Sure.
goes to that cemetery, digs out Judith's headstone, carries it to the car because you don't see any drag marks. He carried it. Carries it to the car, drives it to the house, then carries it to the upstairs bedroom just to set the scene. He's got that kind of physical strength. You know how much a fucking headstone weighs?
A
A
lot.
lot.
Yeah. But in that movie also, he gets his hands around Laurie's throat for 12 to 13 seconds. And he's unable to
Which
crush a
should've
fragile
just
human
snapped.
windpipe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should have just
He would have been able to crush her windpipe instantly. So,
crushed her windpipe.
If
Her
not
neck
fucking
would
break her
be
neck.
busted.
well, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. He would have been able to kill her instantly, but he chose not to. He chose to miss every time he stabbed her. When he scratched her shoulder with the knife, and
Uh-huh.
she went over the banister from the second floor to the first. It
Uh-huh.
wasn't Michael pushing her. She reacted to the scratch from the knife on her shoulder and threw herself over. Michael was not trying to kill her. Both times he tried to stab her, he had the chance to do it from behind and missed. He could only miss on purpose. He is not so ineffective that he would miss killing her so many times. So I'm using that as part of the premise for my new trilogy to reboot Halloween because you kind of have to now.
Yeah.
You kind of don't have a choice, which is too bad.
So then if you're going off that, what's your reason of why he actually killed his sister?
Crazy.
Oh no, he was as a kid.
Yeah.
He was a
He
nut.
was pissed. He was a child that was
as a-
mad.
As a child, he was basically his sister was supposed to be taking care of him, taking him trick or treating and whatnot. Instead, she was spending time on the couch with a guy while the parents were out doing God knows what.
Yeah.
Probably off at a company Halloween party. So yeah, he's going to be pissed. That's a big night for a little kid.
Oh,
that
yeah.
age. 6-year-old kid. That's
No,
a
I just
big
wanted
fucking
to
night.
make sure there was still a reason for that one, and it probably was the whole thing that he didn't mean to kill her. Probably meant to
was
kill the
just
dude.
mad.
It was probably just like he was just mad. Like, get this guy out of here and kind of scare her a little bit. Now take me fucking trick or treating.
No, not. I don't think he was even. He might have been trying to scare her, but he also wished her harm because he was pissed off. He was that angry because, like I said, that's a big night for a 6-year-old. Halloween.
And from what we can kind of
so let's look at the beginning of that movie and remind you when I get to remake that movie, this will never happen, by the way. It's going to stick very close to the original. The only differences will be in the different technologies, for example, that have existed now. So we're going to have to deal with cell phones in a realistic manner that makes sense.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So that'll be different. Is there will be cell phones, and we have to address that as an issue in the movie.
Unless if you're going to remake it to where it's supposed to be set in that time frame.
No, absolutely not.
No,
And here's
he wants
why.
to remake it now.
Okay.
The reason I don't want to do that is because it makes all the sequels more expensive to make. Remember,
Very true.
I'm looking for inexpensive ways to do things, and a period piece tends to be a bit more expensive.
Well, I mean, in that whole situation as well, you can also have certain movies of the anthology set in different periods of time.
Yes, we can, but that's the anthology part.
Yeah.
To have the anthology part, even where Halloween is at now, I think we need the Michael Myers story as an anchor for the franchise.
I would say instead of taking it into today's current age, bring it to about the 90s. So in that whole situation, you're not having to go back near as far for vehicles and clothing and even technology.
See, Michael is 21 in the original Halloween as an adult. Once he gets to that adult part, so that's where the present day is going to be, is when Michael is 21 years old as an adult.
Okay.
When he's a little kid, that's 15 years prior. No matter when this movie gets made, it'll never get made, by the way. But so the way I turned this on my ear with Michael. Oh no, the reason I want it to. Okay, hang on. I'm remembering what I was talking about before we got off topic. The Michael Myers story needs to be the anchor for a new Halloween franchise that includes the anthology bits, because you do need an anchor.
Yeah.
You do need a starting point, and it's got to be a starting point that people will be on board with. That's part of the reason I want to stick so close to the original. So Michael, little kid, pissed off. His parents went off to do their thing instead of taking him trick-or-treating. His sister was
who's supposed to be taking care of him and is basically getting
blonder man.
Getting out with someone else, and this is the normal thing that keeps happening to him. Parents push him off onto her to take care of, and she pushes him off to just let him do whatever the fuck he's going to do, and does what she wants because she doesn't want to deal with it.
Right. So he's pissed off, and in a fit of rage, he kills her. And in dealing with that rage, he goes catatonic. It turns him into the monster. And killing his sister. Now, when he comes back after all that time in Smith's Grove, when he escapes and comes back to Haddonfield, he's not coming back to kill the little sister he had that no one ever fucking talked about for a whole movie.
Yeah,
he's actually coming back. He comes back. He sees Laurie and Tommy Doyle. If you remember, when she's dropping off the key to the Myers house for her father, he sees a young boy with a big sister character that is a good big sister.
Well, I mean, in that whole scenario,
hold on. I got to get this out because
you got to let him. Yeah.
Now he witnesses this and he's like, that's the big sister for me.
Mhm.
He's not trying to kill off his family. He's trying to rebuild one.
Mhm.
That way, and this is going to tie into my sequel trilogy for Myers as well. So we got one movie. He focuses on Laurie. That's why he focuses on her. He sees a good big sister.
Yeah.
That's why he focuses on her, and that's why he's not trying to kill her, because he wants to keep her as his big sister. It's his way of dealing with what he's done and with the monster that he's become.
Because
So
since
in-
that event happened, he never fully matured.
Right. In the next movie, in part 2, he's going after a mother figure, and in part 3, he's going after a father figure. At the end of the first movie, when Michael disappears
Mhm.
on the lawn after Loomis shoots him over the balcony, Michael disappears. Well, at the beginning of the second movie, we learned that Laurie disappeared too.
Ah, there we go.
So
built a family.
Michael is in fact, and this is, you don't tell your audience this stuff, okay? You just let the story play out and let them figure it out. You don't come out and say to the audience through exposition, Michael's trying to rebuild his family. No, we let the audience. This is, again, we're subverting.
Basically, you
expectation now.
would show hints of that in the second movie by the next person that he's going after. That would be an older woman.
An older woman who's a mother figure. Maybe it's a school teacher.
Yeah,
That'd be even better.
It's a school teacher that he's glommed onto.
school
as a
teacher,
mother figure.
school teacher, lunch lady, librarian. There's
Yeah,
many
there's
roles
many
that-
options.
A school nurse, so many different options in there. And the easy
mind
way
you-
to explain away the whole, if we're gonna say Laurie is his actual younger sister, but he's seen as an older sister, is that unknowingly, while the party that his parents were at when that happened, his parents got it on, and she's 15 years younger than him, or not 15, 5 years younger than him, and on that night was when basically 6. Basically, it's like on that night is when she was unknowingly conceived.
I wouldn't even. No, I don't even want her to be the sister. At
That
all.
actually that
Oh,
works even
goodness.
better then.
because that's
I'm-
weird.
I'm saying in that one, like since suppose I
You're
wanna
saying
say-
it could make sense.
yeah. If I'm trying to make sense of the original story, basically,
Right. But then, and of course, Michael gets defeated at the end of this trilogy.
Always.
He's got to be.
Yeah,
He's got to. And I've got subplots for
Because
both.
he is broken. I mean, there's
He
no
is.
way. It's not like he's trying to fix it, but it's not something that you can fix.
Right. And he does get defeated. And I do want this story to take place over a few days. So we're not going to have this massive time jump where Laurie suddenly doesn't care and Corey shows up. We're not going to do that kind of a thing. So so we learn that Michael's trying to rebuild his family, and here's that's the Michael Myers main plot of this trilogy.
Mhm.
I have 2 subplots in mind, one for Sheriff Meeker and one for Dr. Loomis.
Mhm.
Oof.
Sheriff Meeker, is it Meeker? Brackett.
Yeah, it is Sheriff.
No,
well,
Meeker is from part 4. I'm talking.
Mhm.
Sheriff Brackett from
Okay,
the
you're
original.
talking the original set.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sheriff Brackett. His character arc is because his daughter Annie dies in the first movie,
Yeah.
and now he's got to deal with this killer in his town, and he's got to deal with his feelings of revenge and loss. He's got to deal with all that shit.
So the question is, does he become
Does he succumb to the revenge?
broken?
Does
Does
he
he
break?
become
broken
the
man?
broken monster now? Or
Yes, exactly. Does he become a different kind of monster? Meanwhile, Loomis, we learn, has misdiagnosed Michael for all these years. He's made this big assumption about Michael. He's coming here to kill again, and all that. He's the evil's gone from here. All that freaking out he does. It's all projection, and he's projected all this shit onto Michael. And throughout this first trilogy, that's what he learns. That's his character arc, is he has to deal with that he's misdiagnosed Michael, and he's kind of fucked things up, made things worse in a way. and he
Yeah.
holds himself responsible for that. Which, those are good character arcs, I think.
So you have vengeance and guilt.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and revenge and all that crazy. That's just the first trilogy. The second
Nice.
trilogy, I switched things up a little bit again, because this time in the second trilogy, Michael's motivation has not changed. He's still trying to rebuild his family, except now it's like 10 years later.
I thought
And-
you said he was defeated.
Defeated
He is
doesn't mean
defeated,
killed.
but he's not destroyed. or
I
killed.
see. Okay.
He's defeated, but he
Okay.
returns again in 10 years or so. That's just long enough for people to start to forget, and for the whole thing to become more myth than anything else.
Yeah.
Oh,
Urban legend.
Yeah, something of an urban legend. But this
That's
time
the
when he
title
comes
for it.
back, his motivation is the same. He's trying to rebuild his family, but this time he's aged, he's grown up a little bit, and now he sees himself as more of a father figure. So now he's looking for
A wife.
a
a daughter, and a son.
Oh shit.
Okay.
So you see, we can get two good trilogies
Off
out
one
of the
character.
Halloween concept off of one character, and then throughout those two trilogies, we keep laying these seeds about Mill Creek and the Night on Bald Mountains idea, and Charlie Bowles from Russellville, which incidentally took place on the same night as Michael Myers' initial murders. But you can
Oh.
still go back and examine that. What happened with Charlie Bowles? Was it somehow related to whatever happened with Michael? We don't know.
Yeah.
But we get to take a look at it. And they mention a place called Smith's Grove too. What's going on in Smith's Grove? We could have a haunted house story in Smith's Grove. They don't all have to be slasher movies.
No.
There can be that Force of Vengeance.
Paranormal.
Yeah, you can have some paranormal stuff going on. You could have demonic possession stories. You can have you could do a street gang story
Ugh.
where it's
Yeah.
you could do anything that's a horror story. You could have a fucking leprechaun if you want.
Oh
I
fuck.
mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be steeped in a slasher or the supernatural.
No, you can. That's the point with the anthology, is you can do any kind of story. But with whatever story you do, like the Michael Myers story, that's a slasher story.
Mhm.
So it has to remain a slasher story, I think,
Yeah.
to make sense. I mean, and that's the thing with all of these things, where they do cross over, and they will a little bit, but it's got to be just a little bit, or the anthology thing breaks down and it turns into a
It turns back into what it.
well, it turns
happened to
into
it to
what
begin with.
Universal. It turns into what Universal wanted to do with the Monsters universe, where they try to connect everything and everyone together and make one big, Avengers Assemble movie,
Yeah.
and it won't work.
Yeah.
It won't work with the horror thing, because that's just
No, and
you're going. This for the same reason that Freddy versus Jason didn't work.
That was a fun movie though.
I think that one could have worked if they actually could have gotten the whole what ended up being the sequel to it in a comic book, where it wasn't just supposed to be Freddy versus Jason. It was quite
Right.
literally supposed to be Freddy versus Jason versus Ash from Evil Dead. And
Right.
that was supposed to be the explanation of why Jason had all the thing that he did, and why Freddy was the way he was, because when Freddy died, he had made a deal with the Deadites, or some of the Deadites, like a offshoot of the Deadites. And what it actually turned out was somehow Jason's mother had the Necronomicon and had read it to him, and that's what unknowingly caused him to become what he was. He wasn't necessarily possessed. He became that.
No, Jason was cursed.
Oh, cursed.
Yeah.
That seems to be the prevailing theory, and I like that idea that Jason is cursed.
His mother unknowingly cursed him by reading from
Yes.
that, because she didn't think it was anything bad.
Well, see, my version of that is different too, and I might actually work my version of that into the Halloween anthology thing, since they're never going to let me make a Friday the 13th movie. Not officially.
But that's
And,
what that's what it was supposed to be. Is that's why, like, pretty much Ash Williams would be able to go more toe to toe with these two characters, being the fact that he has been possessed by deadites, had all the other things that happened as well. So he
And he's
has,
read from the Necronomicon.
and he's read from the Necronomicon, so he actually has a better understanding of how to fight against and to fight potentially end this, or at least stop the cycle for a set period of time.
Right. And look, that makes sense. And Angela's right. It's a fun movie. It's
Yeah.
just not a good movie.
Yeah.
It's fun to watch Freddy Krueger do his thing up against Jason, and Jason just sort of be
Beat
the
Jason.
straight
Let
man
him
in the
bounce
act.
off of him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So the Freddy vs. Jason had the same issue. I think all the Kong movies, not the Kong movies, all the Godzilla movies have far too many extraneous characters and not enough of the main two characters fighting.
Yeah.
Well, that's just it. You need a good reason for Jason and Freddy to fight. I'm not sure we got a good reason, but not a great reason. Let's put
Yeah.
it that way.
I don't think it was a good reason. Having Freddy want to be remembered so he can come back, and having Jason do his killing, like that doesn't seem like a Freddy thing. Now, Freddy was always the manipulative one, but he'd love to do it himself.
Yeah.
Right.
But he
And-
couldn't until Jason made people remember him.
Right.
But they really didn't
You're-
remember him.
You're
They-
getting okay. How do I do this? Because I actually was able to turn around and square the circle with Freddy versus Jason.
You was.
Huh?
You was.
Well,
You were.
Let her explain.
I was.
Okay, go ahead.
And it's literally because until Freddy was able to bring Jason to Springwood or Springfield or whatever the hell
Springwood.
it is. Yes, thank you. So that people would recall that kids started dying, had been dying before. There was no way to instigate that fear
To
To,
conjure up the memory of Freddy.
of Freddy. Exactly. And that was the reason for Freddy doing that.
Yeah, and it makes sense. That's the important thing, though, is that everything has to make sense and operate on its internal logic.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why I will never put a slasher versus slasher kind of movie together, is
Yeah.
because the slashers each have their own internal logic, and to mix that logic in a single movie can be a bit of a pain in the ass.
And unless you're willing to turn around and like
Alter the
push your
premise.
brain to tweak that
hmm
so that you can see where it works. You're
Right.
not going to be able to
Well, that's where it's
really
like, I
enjoy it
can-
the way you're supposed to.
I still have to see the Godzilla versus King Kong one to see how they went about that one. But the Godzilla versus the monsters one that was before that, and even the Kong Skull Island one being set
Mhm.
in the same universe, at least made sense. I wouldn't say at least. Well, it did make sense for that whole thing. The way they went about it, but at least for like the Godzilla versus all the other monsters, that one made a lot more sense for like why they were legitimately fighting. And I will
Yes.
perfectly agree that there was far too much humans.
I
I-
really liked
Like if we're
Godzilla King
if,
of the Monsters.
if we're gonna do the whole having more human interaction, I think they did it better in Pacific Rim, because then it's giant kaiju versus giant mech.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
see,
like-
that's the problem with the giant monsters thing. It's fun to watch them fight, make no mistake. But
They don't make a good
And-
story.
and if you can come up with a good reason for them to fight, that's fun too. But where does little Jimmy Smith fit in? And why? Get Jimmy out of here.
Yeah.
He's fucking 8 years old. What's he doing here? Get that fucking kid out of here. It makes
It's not a
sense when
camera movie.
it makes sense when you start introducing military personnel and stuff because giant monsters fighting in Tokyo.
Yeah.
We got to blow these fuckers up before they crush the city.
Or we got to at least quarantine them.
Yeah, that part makes sense. That's where the human part can make sense. But
They always bring in some like rando or some kid, and it's just like, this makes no goddamn sense.
Or
Well,
some
in the case of
nefarious
Kong,
organization.
in the case of Kong, it's easier because in the case of Kong, they always turn around and have some native villagers that are worshiping the giant.
Yeah.
well, plus the Kong
giant
thing.
ape.
The Kong thing
It's
is a
just
result
like-
of an expedition. Yada yada yada.
It's like
It's
that.
just
That
like
makes
the
sense
little,
for the kid being there in the village of that whole thing. It wouldn't really make sense of in the expedition that they know is most likely to be dangerous to all of a sudden bring a 6-year-old child
Have
with
their
them.
kid.
Yeah.
It's like the Jurassic Park movies where they brought their kid to Jurassic Park. It's like, what, are you fucking stupid?
Well, that was
of the
Grandpa
visitation.
thinking that his park was about to open.
I was actually thinking about the sequel where the little girl was.
That
again,
was retarded.
yeah, that's stupid.
That
Are you
was
talking about with
stupidity.
Ian Malcolm bringing his daughter?
Yeah, because of the
Oh, she's
visitation
stuck
rights
on.
or something.
She's
Fuck off, kid. Hire a babysitter for 3 days, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Or, just take her back to her mother and look, I have to do this expedition. I can't take her right now.
Yeah.
Look, I'll be back. We'll spend the entire week. I'll give you whatever you want just to keep the peace.
Yeah, and then when he comes back, he comes back with his one leg missing and the kitty carry-all doll that he promised the girl or whatever,
Yeah.
because then you get to see he's a father that keeps his promise regardless of the price, and it's a good. And but let's have a conveniently set up Olympic style parallel bars thing for the kid to fuck around on.
Yeah.
And
movie.
defeat a raptor with.
Yeah, fuck you, movie.
Like, that raptor should have eaten her.
Yes.
Well, it's one of those things that they want to do the whole thing of like having the representation of kids. And again, I know this is going to a different series in a way, but it is like in the Power Rangers Turbo when they decided to add the kids, be like, we'll have one of the Power Rangers that's of the age group that this is pointed at. Kids don't want that. Power Rangers is meant to be people to look up to. This expedition, that's supposed to be people that these kids are going to aspire to be.
Yep.
And you fuck that up when you have the kids in there. Like, Three Ninjas is fun because it's a dumb, fun movie.
Yes.
But that from the get-go in there.
Right.
But the premise of Three Ninjas is it's a bunch of kids doing a thing.
Yeah.
It's not like it's a group of adults and then out of nowhere, here comes these three ninja kids.
Yeah.
Like,
Three Ninjas is Home Alone with martial arts.
Yeah.
pretty much. But it's
For the most
not like
part.
it's not like it's Nine Deaths of the Ninja where it's these elite trained fighters, fighting the evil organization, and then out of nowhere, oh yeah, they brought like their children with them.
Yeah.
By the way, here's the main character's nephew showing up and kicking the shit out of all these, extremely well-trained hired killers.
Yeah, like and they, instead of killing him like they normally would have done an adult, they're gonna just take him hostage.
Well,
they're
duct tape the little fucker to a wall. Get him out of the way.
no, like it breaks their character too. Like if you're a trained killer, like, oh well, you know what? I've killed I've destroyed whole villages just for fucking kicks, but I'm gonna take you hostage instead of like putting your ass down and going to get your father.
Exactly.
It's like the only turn I've heard that's been on that one that's actually really funny for that, in a way, is you have a character. Basically, it's the father does have a government job and everything, and he ends up getting basically kidnapped in his own house. The family does, except for the daughter who gets out. And she's not the one fucking up everyone else that they think she is. Like, they think all of a sudden, oh, he must have trained his daughter. No, it's her calling his friends and colleagues, being like, my parents are kidnapped. I need your help. And then like near the end, it's the whole opening thing. They're like, I can't believe you did all that. And she's like, I didn't do anything. I made a call to people to help me. And it's like all of them behind him. They're just like, you done fucked up, boy.
Yeah.
That'd be an even better one. Like it's them chasing around the girl while their friends are taking out the cop, the guards, and getting everybody out. And they're like, what the fuck is going on? How'd she do that?
Yeah.
And
It kind of
he
falls
was like,
into, in a way, of what they thought was you knew it was actually happening. But if you look at the original Boondock Saints movie,
Mhm.
they think Rocco is the one going through and killing all their competition, killing their men. Then, right before, when they go after, oh god damn it, Giovanni, I think it is. They go after him. The three of them get busted or they get caught in the house, and that's when they realize the whole, it wasn't Rocco. Rocco was just the one supplying information.
It was a firefight.
What
Sorry.
if it was just one guy with 6 guns? What's really funny is if you actually pay attention to after he's done with the whole thing, there is a radio call in there for basically a shots fired, don't worry about it.
Yeah, no.
Because he shoots his gun into the air.
I think that's one of his best.
It's one of those things that there's always a way they can do it, but they always want to throw shit in there that doesn't make sense.
Right. This is what I don't get. If I can sit here and mentally storyboard these 2 Halloween franchises, what the fuck are the pros getting paid for?
The waste money.
I think so.
Pretty much.
Because look, I'll tell you, I know of filmmakers who could make these Halloween trilogies for $10 million a film.
Oh yeah.
And they would bring in $50 million at least. Probably a hell of a lot more. Because they would be well written, they would be well performed, and they would be good fucking movies. One of the great things about Halloween as a slasher film is that it's a good crossover film in a way because it's also a thriller. It's got an element of mystery even for that kind of an audience. It appeals to a wide audience because it hits so many beats right without straying too far outside those beats.
Yeah. But Hollywood just thinks they have to shove a bunch of stuff in there, and it honestly falls into a lot of like what happens with politicians and whatnot. It's you're out of touch with the actual people that you're representing. You're out of touch with the people that are watching these films.
Yes, they are. But
it's
not
like,
just that, but they're...
you look at the comic book ones. Your main audience is males. Period.
Yeah.
And typically the women that like these things, like I can even guess on Angela and that whole thing, like those comics and those movies from that because of what they are, not because of what you're trying to push them to be.
Right.
Stop trying to find the one audience and whatnot. Like you can make comic books that are about that, or comic movies that are about that, just use different characters.
This is my issue. Like it is the same thing that's happening in certain my favorite games. You're chasing the wider audience, the mythical wider audience, with the we're gonna make it this and add this to make it more appealable to the people, mass appeal. That's not who's buying your games. That's not who's watching your movies. Captain Marvel sucked. If you looked at her comic book run, you'd understand why it fucking sucked. And it was never going to make money. But if you did like a classical Iron Man, it'll make tons of money.
Mm-hmm.
Give a character that people like. Don't use a character who literally every time her comic comes out, it always flops. Yeah. It never makes it in a long-term run.
Well, it is
you have to shoehorn other characters in it.
Well, there is the whole issue as well that sometimes giving people what they want, you actually find out it's not what they actually wanted; it's what they thought they wanted.
That's very often true, but the trick is to figure out what they actually want isn't what they say they want.
Well, the biggest thing when it comes to a lot of the stories like that and everything is if you're gonna with the comics, you're gonna go with a comic book movie. Don't try to fucking cram 6 different comic book stories in there. Find
Yes.
one, maybe a second for the secondary subplot. So it's like you're gonna have the thing where it's like this comic book story leads into this comic book story, and those are the 2 parts of this one movie. Because like if you look at the first Iron Man movie, it goes the whole thing. His first part is he gets captured, then has to make his way out of it, ends up creating the Iron Man suit, and has the whole thing, because of that, has that technology kind of get stolen, so that way those suits could potentially get made. So he has this led to this.
Right.
But I won't say it was just, this happens and then this happens. It was this happens and therefore this happens.
Exactly. And it goes back to my theory. When people say they want to see movie X, let's get back to not Halloween. I spend too much time on Halloween.
Star Trek, Star Wars.
Well,
Star
let's
Trek's a
go
good.
with,
Let's go with what, Angela?
I was gonna say, let's go with Star Wars.
Okay.
Everyone wants to turn around and say, well, they made Rey because they wanted to have a character that girls could
Strong
identify
female
with.
character.
You know
Leia.
what? You had Princess Leia. I didn't want to be Princess Leia when I grew up. I wanted to be fucking Han Solo.
Yeah.
You don't have to be, just because the person that you look up to isn't your gender, isn't your color, isn't your whatever,
Hairstyle.
doesn't mean that you can't want to be like that character.
Right.
Shit, I
It
wanted to be
depends
Luke
on the character
Skywalker.
you identify with. Is what it depends on. It has nothing to do with skin color or size of the boobie. It has nothing to do with any of that. You write a
But-
good Princess Leia, you write a good Luke Skywalker, you write a good Han Solo. Those characters, because they're well written, they're well thought out. They make sense. That's
Mhm.
that's what's going to make people relate to them.
Exactly.
Shit,
And
You
the
make them
person
realistic.
The
Leia
person
saves the
who
guys a lot too. Like it's not a one-sided thing where they're always saving her. She saved them too. She didn't fight in the big fight, but she's the commander. She doesn't have to go out in battle. She gives the order.
No, she's a
and you
coordinator.
follow.
Okay, I can actually explain this one a little bit better, and because I had to go use the restroom real quick. I don't know if I didn't hear really any of you say this, but Angela is the predominant exception to this rule, and I can prove it with this one. If you look at anime, predominantly the action, so shonen, and whether or not you like it, I don't fucking care. It is very popular amongst young males from about, I would say 12, typically to late 20s nowadays. And majority of them don't really, other than a small subsection, really care about having that representation, because they're not identifying with the messenger, they're identifying with the message. And that's why I bring it back to where Angela is more of the exception in the case of with what women have the problem with. Most women tend to have a problem that they need to identify with the messenger, not the message. Angela can identify with the message, while a lot of women, again, not all, and even some men, feel that they have to identify with the messenger.
That's ego.
It is.
And you're right. Part of it is
Hubris.
appealing to the ego of the audience. That is part of the equation. But I
And-
think you can do that by writing characters well. And writing characters with what I mean by writing them well is they have to have flaws.
Yeah.
They have to have
Well,
they have to have something in their way. They have to have something to overcome.
it falls into this whole thing, and I think Tyr and I have had this conversation. Actually, probably all of us had in that one. You're writing a character that maybe, depending on a few tweaks and whatnot, may be required to be of a specific race or ethnicity or even species, depending on what you're going with, whether it be like fantasy, sci-fi, something like that. But in most of the times, you try to make a thought out character that you can almost insert anyone in there. It's irrelevant of who that is until
Right.
you've given them shape.
Exactly.
Yes.
Lando Calrissian could have been any smooth talking motherfucker.
Yeah.
Long as he's smooth talking.
Yeah, that's the important part. Is he's a smooth talker.
That's why I brought up with the character's name was Agent Dornigat in NCIS. He got enough screen time and enough things that you've liked him, most likely for the people that do, as a character before you found out he was gay. So now you have this well thought out character who also happens to be gay.
Right. Anyone else here watch Barney Miller?
Yes.
No. I've
Oh.
never heard of it.
That
Barney
sounds
Miller-
familiar.
Barney Miller is a sitcom from the 70s
Okay.
about a detective squad of cops
Uh-huh.
in New York.
Okay.
And it's a brilliant show. Well written, well acted. Good comedy.
Hey, Bagoda.
Well, certainly. But especially after it starts off differently than it turns out. For a little while it was based on a concept, the life and times of Barney Miller, who's a police captain in the 12th precinct, New York's
Mhm.
police. So they had a bunch of stories involving his life at home versus his life at work, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Fortunately, after a while, they dropped the home stuff and the show gets a lot better
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
because
Mhm.
his wife drags the show down every time she appears. And she does appear periodically
Yeah.
throughout the series, but and even then, when that part of the story is missing, the show is so much better. But anyhow, there's a character who was set up for, I'm not quite sure how long, named Zitelli, a side character.
Mm-hmm.
Been in the show for episode after episode after episode. And one day, there's an episode where the guy from Internal Affairs, who's a complete prick, shows up with a letter someone wrote from the 12th precinct that was written anonymously, but the guy says, I'm a gay man, work New York City Police Department. And this is in the 70s, so it's more of a big deal, right?
Yeah.
And, and even Captain Miller doesn't know that, yada, yada, yada. And you couldn't tell by my performance. I'm just writing this to let others know that there's at least one gay cop in the New York City Police Department. And Zitelli never acts like a homo. And
Yeah.
and when I say that, I do mean homo in the derogatory sense,
Yeah.
where someone who's too much a flamer and
Yeah.
and,
That's
and
well, like
prancy.
I brought up earlier
That's-
of the whole thing of them being the stereotype.
Right. He's
Now,
not.
I don't mind occasionally having the character that is going to be the stereotype because the stereotype exists for a reason. So occasionally having that a character like that shows up once every now and again, it doesn't even have to be the same person to show that stereotypical character. That's fine, but you want your main cast to all be regular. It's like regular, actual thought out characters who may happen to have this sexuality or these other flaws.
Right. I mean,
You can even be stereotypically gay or whatever.
And still be a good character.
And not
Yeah.
and still be a good character as long as you turn around and build them a character that is beyond just I am gay.
right.
Yeah.
I mean,
You know?
in Barney Miller, there were a total, I think, and I might be underestimating here, but I think 4 gay characters. One was Officer Zitelli, who, by the way, really well done, because to look at, once you realize he's gay, you're going like, holy shit, I can see it. So that was well done, because you don't think about it otherwise until it's pointed out.
Yeah.
So well done that way. There's another one who's the flamer named Marty. He's a
Tyr, you falling asleep on us?
I think he might be. He definitely was.
You starting to fall asleep on us? That sounds like a snore
No,
from someone.
I'm over here playing with the cat.
Oh, I was gonna say,
That's personal.
are you pulling a James and are you needing your oxygen?
No, I'm playing with my pussy. Dude,
Oh,
Wow.
jeez.
There's an image. But the character Marty is a not a career criminal, but a habitual one
Mhm.
who's
Mhm.
basically trying to straighten up his act. But he's, like I said, he's a bit of a flamer. I mean, he's funny as hell. And he's a character that has genuine impact.
Mhm. Yeah.
There's his boyfriend, Mr. Driscoll, who is more three-piece suit and still clearly gay, but not flamboyantly gay.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then there's another cop who might be gay, but they never really tell you if he is or not. He collars a guy who is impersonating a cop, and this impersonator hangs out outside of gay bars to catch gays and threaten them with arrest if they don't pay him money.
Hmm.
So he's basically strong-arming them.
Yeah.
Right.
And in each case, the gay character is not presented in a derogatory manner, unless you hate gays, I guess. And they're characters that are well written and well thought out. They're all side characters, but they're all well written still, and they're all thought out. Mr. Driscoll has a kid from a marriage that failed.
Okay, yeah, so he thought he either had a beard or was trying to be the person that he thought he was supposed to be.
Right.
But
Exactly.
The second one, it was the person he thought he was supposed to be. And
I'm gonna go ahead and stop for a little bit because it's already been 2 hours, so it's almost
Yes,
2
it
a.m. And I know James isn't here. And if you want to join us for the movie review next week, James, we'll be starting the movie around 9ish. Like, do we want to continue with Con Air, or did we want to do a Christmas movie?
Christmas movie.
We should do a Christmas movie.
Again,
Okay.
we should do Die
Hard.
Hard.
I
I
mean,
knew Die Hard was going to come into it.
we can do Die Hard. I mean, the only person who's going to be arguing is James. Most likely that it's not a Christmas movie, and I'm going to destroy any argument he has. Because all the ones that get brought up for that is, well, it's a heist movie. Technically, no, it is not a heist movie. It's a cop movie. It's a cop
Yeah.
Christmas movie because the predominancy of it is Christmas.
Is
If it were a heist movie, your people doing the heist would be your main characters, not your main antagonists.
Yes.
By
I
the way,
told them straight up. And anyone who tells me Die Hard's not a Christmas movie, I'm just like, it would not be happening if it was not Christmas.
exactly.
It's
That's
the whole
point I
thing
always
of
go
like
to.
that is the main thing for this movie. Could you take parts of or certain aspects of the plot and put them in a different movie? Yes, you could. But it wouldn't be the same Die Hard we have. It would be closer to like Die Hard 3.
Lethal Weapon.
The first Lethal Weapon is a Christmas movie.
Mm-hmm.
But what's what I'm saying is like the third Die Hard movie, Die Hard with a Vengeance.
With a vengeance.
Yeah, So Die Hard with a Vengeance is also a cop movie to where a heist happens because it's technically his brother, or not his brother, but the main villain's brother,
Hans Gruber's brother.
Hans Gruber's brother,
All right, good.
and that one. But it's not set during Christmas. You have a lot of similar aspects of it, except for they've added the character, or Sam Jackson's character of Jesus, or I'm sorry, not Jesus, of Zeus.
Zeus.
Yeah, I know, I did that
Zeus.
one on purpose. And it went from there. So no, like the first Die Hard still is a Christmas movie. That's why I said it's like there are too many aspects of that movie that make it an actual Christmas movie.
Well, plus, look, there are only certain times of year where you could have a party of that type in an office setting to use as a cover, to use as a disguise for the heist,
Yes.
because that's the heist was disguised as a hostage situation,
Yes.
and you got your options are Christmas, Halloween, because there could be a big Halloween office party.
Mm-hmm.
What else? Arbor Day? No. 4th of
No.
July? Not likely, because
Those
What do
are
you-
all outdoor picnics.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shit,
what's-
you could have a big
It could be New
count
Year's.
celebration.
It could be New
It
Year's,
could be
but I
New
don't.
Year's.
I don't think you do Office Party for New Year's so much. It's usually folded
You
into the
usually
Christmas thing.
have
Yeah.
it at like you usually have that at, even if it's like your office people,
Yeah.
you'll turn around and hold that at a hotel banquet hall type thing.
Yeah.
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 And it wouldn't work. But a Christmas party, a Halloween party at the office, those work
Yeah, that's about the only two.
pretty much. And
Well, I was going to say
Christmas
for what I do have and the two that I will not do, I already know Angela said she does not want to do a Christmas story, and I am completely fine with that. And even though I have it, I will refuse to do the Star Wars Holiday Special this year. Maybe
Aw.
in a year or two.
Life Day.
Though it was, I think in 2012 or 2013 when I watched it originally, I still have been trying to blank it from my memory. But I was gonna
Also,
say-
we don't want to step on Weibo's toes.
We don't want to see Lumpy.
Oh, what is she doing that this year?
Weibo does the Star Wars holiday special every year.
Well, I'm gonna do
Oh.
it one of these years, so and I highly doubt she's
And-
gonna get mad about it.
I'm totally down to step on her toes once,
Yeah.
but I don't want to start off
I
my
don't have a dubbed version.
career of
Like-
movie reviews
like I
stepping on
said,
Weibo's toes.
I'm pretty sure Weibo's not going to get mad about it because she's gonna be like, "Are they going to do it every year?" I'm like, "No, it was a one-time thing, and we were doing it as a Christmas thing." And she'd be like, "Oh yeah, that totally makes sense." I don't see Weibo being a complete fucking diva about this shit.
Oh yeah, no.
She might be a smartass. I totally expect that.
Yeah.
that's allowed.
That's expected. And in anything, it's not going to be done at the same time anyways. But I was going to say, besides that, I have, we could go with Ernest Saves Christmas. I do
Oh,
have the
Lord.
2009 Christmas Carol. Obviously, there's Die Hard 1 and 2 because both of those are Christmas movies. Obviously,
Two
there's still,
Christmas with the Cranks.
I do not have that one. And honestly, I don't, well, I like Tim Allen. I just don't think I care too much. I mean, I do have the Santa Claus movies.
Those are good.
I don't really want to do
That was
Elf.
Tim Allen.
Elf just because it's.
I hate. Oh.
I don't hate Will Ferrell, but that's just not his best work. I mean, obviously, there's still the. We could go with the first Ghostbusters and even the second Ghostbusters because part of it does take place around Christmas. Obviously, there's the first Gremlins. I think.
Oh, Gremlins!
The Harold and Kumar movies. I think it's 1 and 3 that are. I know the third one is a Christmas movie. Obviously, there's the 2 Home Alone movies. Lethal Weapon. Like I said, I don't have a dubbed version of Rare Exports, and I think if anything, that'll probably be a movie I review on my own because it's a subtitled movie. Still looks interesting as all hell to where the characters that they have in malls and everything that are supposed to be Santas are actually Santa's elves, and they've been trying to awaken him. I still have to. Oh, it's everything. Like quite literally, like when they're around people, they're like, "Do not swear," because like if a person starts swearing or doing bad things, they will attack the person. Yeah, it's fucking crazy.
Oh wow!
I mean, obviously, there's also the 1964 Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. I mean, again, if we want to go on another fun movie, we could always watch the first Mighty Ducks.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd call it. Yeah, it
The
has Christmas in it.
The first Mighty Ducks is a Christmas movie. Second and the third
It
are
has
not.
Christmas in it.
We can always do
It's a
Eight
pretty
Crazy
central theme of that. Well, that's why. Okay, so far from what it sounds like, we got Die Hard, 8 Crazy Nights, and Gremlins are the 3 contenders.
Gremlins!
We can do Gremlins. I wouldn't mind seeing Gremlins again. I like Gremlins.
I am down for any of them in that one because Gremlins is just a fun movie in my opinion.
My only issue with Gremlins is that Corey Feldman dies, but
No, he doesn't.
I mean, he's not alive at the end of the movie.
They just don't show him. From everything I'm aware of, they actually never have him canonically killed off. They just don't show him. Not showing a character isn't implying that they're dead.
When the gremlins are trying to get in his window,
And he's fighting them off.
yeah.
His is the only one they leave ambiguous. They do not imply his death. They imply it's unlikely he survives.
I would have thought that if he didn't die, that he would have come back in the second one, given that Mr. Fetterman clearly died. Or Futterman clearly died and still came back in the second one.
It was implied, and by that point, Corey Feldman was also exponentially more popular as a actor and would have cost a lot more.
Here's an idea. Watch the movie and debate it then.
Yeah, that works. Because
that way it plays into the idea of
very true
of the review / whatever.
We'll go with Gremlins because the Die Hard debate is just boring nowadays.
Yeah, because it's obviously a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
It is such a Christmas movie.
But with that,
it's one of my top 5s.
With that, it's been 2 hours and 10 minutes, and I feel like I should change the title to this to We Discuss Movies and TV Shows and How to Have Good Characters and Fix Plots.
Let me tell you about the Brady Bunch. Sorry, go on.
Oh, shit.
I still will say, for the Brady Bunch movie, I did like how they tied in the Gilligan's Island reference. That was hysterical.
Yeah, it was cute. I hate those movies.
Oh, it was a dumb movie. I still thought it was fun.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. It's a cute movie, but it's not good.
We're going to get out of here. It's a couple of weeks before Christmas. We will be doing Gremlins next week for that. I don't know if anyone else is going to be joining me next or on Christmas Eve for Talking to the Void. I'll still be doing that one.
Because I'm not a Christmas guy. I'll do it.
I am a Christmas guy for the most part. It's Christmas Eve, and while I love my parents, I'm not going to stay over at their house or anything. And if we do a meal, because I work second shift, we'll do dinner or lunch.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
So I actually forgot to ask him about that when I saw him the other day. So, way it goes. But we're going to get out of here. Hope everyone has a good week. I got Mitch's Twitter and his Rumble channel in the description, which he now has 43 followers because I threw a follow on him.
Groovy. Thanks.
And that whole thing.
I'm sure I'm following Mitch.
And that we are still waiting on Angela to go through and get the comics so she can start doing the comic book curated. I'm actually excited to still see that come to fruition. I know it's going to take time.
It is, because I'm still trying to figure out how I want to organize that.
It's still one of those things that I don't think should be a live stream. That's probably going to have to be straight up recorded video. So I hope your editing skills are going to be on par. Or you can do what I do and just not edit because you're lazy.
I need to learn.
I need to learn more as well. And then obviously Tyr has his midnight show that I need to make another opening for funsies, and we're still trying to get the new closing done. He's editing on that one. And he may have some streams in the side after. I still need to throw up a video of something or other. I still got to try to get a review out of that Beretta since I got it finished, but I got to get it out to the range.
I have to ask Jack Cochran how he blanks out the word bubbles and
if it's not
comic.
If it's a still image that he puts in there, you can always go in with MS Paint if you're doing still images of it. Mm-hmm. Basically, you'll go in there with like MS Paint and you'll use the selector thing, and you can go through and just go over the words and then click delete or use an eraser on them.
Okay.
Yeah. But we're gonna get out of here. It's like almost 2:10 in the morning, and I'm gonna go watch some Ninja Turtles or something. I don't know yet. Have a good one, folks. This has been a really fun time. I mean, I didn't know how long we were gonna have anything for, and shit, we took one topic and beat it to death
with a hammer.
We've been here a while.
We beat that dead horse, and quite literally, it was nothing but fun.
Mhm.
All
I had a
right.
good
Thanks for
time.
joining me.